Okay, guys, we're going to be recording live in studio audience. It's going to be fantastic. This is Robert Weichelt. I'm with EXP here in Southern California. I specialize in taking listings. I don't primarily work with buyers. I use my buyer agents for that. What I want to talk about today, because this is the Take More Listings Mastermind, I want to go ahead and talk about the best way to take more listings. I'm going to talk about how important it is to reach out to the FSBO, the expired, the canceled, the notice of default, and the notice of trustees. I'm going to specifically target that audience. Not to mention there's other great opportunities, whether it be REO listings for post-foreclosure, whether it be working with attorneys for probate, divorce, bankruptcy, those kinds of things. And of course, there's investors. There's lots of different hanging fruit. And we certainly don't want to forget about our circle of influence. It's more important now than it has been in a long time. You always should reach out to your database, but it's more important now because they're getting information and it's not coming from you. So it's our obligation to reach out to our buyers, our sellers, our investors, our agents. And I'm going to share with you how I take 100% of my listings, all via Zoom, from the comfort of my motorhome traveling the United States. My wife and I and our dog Bodie are traveling the country in our RV. And it was in 2019. We're in Cabo, and I wanted to tap into all the technology that I had available for me. And so I started doing my Zoom calls with agents, agent attraction, and I started taking listing appointments from the beach in Cabo, Corona sitting right next to me. And I said, wait a second, this is how I want to do all my listings moving forward. So everything I show you, everything I teach you, everything I coach you, train you, mentor, whatever, it's going to be what I do. Not everybody wants to have a 3 to 5 minute listing appointment versus a 3 to 5 hour listing appointment. I just want to be efficient with my time. I'm getting older. I want to be more efficient. And I think that we have all the tools available to do just that. So here's my presentation that I share with sellers. Once I've identified the FSBO. I've identified their motivation. They've qualified to meet with me. And I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm just trying to prove a point. I don't feel I can work with everybody. I don't feel I can work with the seller that's rude, obnoxious, and unrealistic. And mostly unrealistic. I can deal with rude and I can deal with obnoxious all day long. It's the unrealistic seller that's the worst because they're digging their heels in on $1 million sales price goal when clearly their home's not worth more than $800,000. You know this because you are the expert in your market. I don't want to work with those kinds of sellers. I can take rude and obnoxious all day long. As a matter of fact, I get along with those people just fine. I want realistic, motivated sellers. Motivated doesn't mean desperate. Doesn't need to mean that they're like going to just lower their price just because they're got to go. No, motivated means they're going to price their home right and follow the instructions that we've laid out to get their home sold for the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of liability, hassle, and expense. So today I'm going to share what I do. Once I've identified that seller, once I've identified whether it be a FSBO, expired, canceled, doesn't matter. I like to go after the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree. I want to make sure that you understand also that I do all my listings via Zoom, and a lot of the agents that I coach, train, and mentor across the country are starting to do the same thing and having some really good results. I can assure you this. If you live in Los Angeles, I live in San Diego, which is, Southern California, where our traffic is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It takes you an hour to get somewhere, takes you an hour at the appointment, and another hour to get back. That's 3 hours out of your day. When I can take a listing appointment between 3 and 5 minutes, the listing appointment takes 20 to 30, but that's only if they qualify to continue the conversation. And I'm going to share what it is I do. I locate them. I schedule the Zoom appointment, just like a calendar, just like a regular traditional listing. This is what my Zoom appointment looks like. The first thing they see is the best way to take more listings. So if you're a seller watching this, or if you're a listing agent wanting to watch this and wanting to take more listings, you're a buyer agent that says, wait a second, I have to do this now for my buyers. The consultation is something that buyer agents are really need to going to embrace. So why not embrace the listing and all the buyers come to you? This is what I basically let sellers know that I want to show them the most important, how to get them that highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. So let me just kind of go over some of the things we're going to talk about. First, I want to thank New Venture Escrow for allowing me their studio. It is awesome. You have no idea how amazing. I mean, they got the soundboard, the styrofoam on the walls. They got the big lights, the big screens, the microphones. It is awesome. So I want to give a quick shout out to them for allowing me to use their studio today. We're going to talk about if you list, you last. If you list, you last. Working as a buyer agent is just such a hard thing to do. So I'm going to go over the things that I'll be sharing today. We're going to talk about the number one source for home sellers. And no, it's not only FSBOs. We're going to talk about the expireds and why they're so important. We're going to talk about the notice of default, notice of trustee sales, the pre-foreclosure market. We're going to show you my platform that I'm having a 98.4% success rate with my listings. Because remember, I'm qualifying them, the seller, before, right up front. So the first 3 to 5 minutes is qualifying that seller. If they, for some reason, don't qualify, the conversation doesn't continue. And unfortunately, the last, 8+ months, I've turned away a lot of listings because I just have made a decision that I don't want to work with sellers that are unrealistic. I'll take the rude, the obnoxious, no problem. Unrealistic, it's completely unacceptable. It's my job to offer what is realistic. So of course, I'm going to do everything I can to explain to the seller that maybe started unrealistic because they were at a barbecue and they heard what their home is worth. Until I want to be realistic and say, listen, I think that's fantastic that you put all these improvements in your home. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into a higher return on your property. Some improvements are just so you can get it sold. So we want to make sure that we're going through that. We're going to talk about how we get 100% of the FSBOs that we want to work with, and that's the key word, we want to work with. Remember, rude and obnoxious, most of them are. You lower that wall, and they're the best because they truly want to sell, at least the ones that are motivated. Remember, if they're not realistic, they don't count. Our lead generating, and what we're doing is take 43 listings every 100 leads. Those are big numbers, big claims, because we do a lot of the qualifying up front. And I'm going to show you how I do my listing appointments via Zoom and how important that is. There's no way you can travel the country. We just got back from touring Southern California, all of Arizona. We're talking up from Prescott all the way down to Tombstone. Tombstone's awesome, by the way. Love it. You need to get there. My brother Rod lives there. All through Arizona. Love Arizona. Then we went through New Mexico. You know what? I like New Mexico. We had some family there, but it was, it was okay. So I apologize if you're from New Mexico and you're hearing this, but it wasn't my favorite. And then we all went all through Texas, and we came back before the storms that just pounded Texas. And then we're getting ready to go up Northern California to Oregon coast, Washington with some friends and family, down to Idaho. I don't want to bore you with that, but my point is, why do I do my listing appointments 100% via Zoom? It's very difficult to pack up the RV, which I'm living in full-time traveling the country, and go to a listing appointment that may or may not work out. How do you beat the mega teams? Let's say you're brand new in the business. What are you going to say that's going to beat the mega teams, the mega producers, the people that got it dialed in? What is your unique selling proposition, and much more? We're going to go over all that stuff. It's going to be fantastic. So here we go. We want to talk about what the lowest hanging fruit is. FSBOs, they have their hands up. They are the ones saying, hey, world, I want to sell my home. Most of them are maybe a little unrealistic, but most of them just don't know what they're doing, and it's our obligation to reach out to them and guide them through this process. You need to have a unique selling proposition to reach out to these for sale by owners. What is yours? Ask yourself, what is yours? We've put together a platform that I've been using since March of 2019. It is fantastic, and it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, whether you've been in the business 1 day, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, doesn't matter. That new agent, just like an experienced agent, can use this platform, use this process to take more listings. FSBOs are the lowest hanging fruit. Expireds. Expireds were on the market usually for 6 months prior to them expiring. They usually are not happy with their previous agent. They had intended to sell. Usually they don't do this just for practice. So they had 6-month go at it. It didn't work. We've shrunk that down. Expireds want to sell. They just need somebody to be honest and upfront with the value of the home. Most expireds expire because of price. Now, every now and then you're going to get a listing that their situation changed, but that's more of a canceled or withdrawn. But the expired went through the contract. It's expired. And I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. So you certainly don't want to go back to your other agent that didn't give you the offers you wanted, didn't have the open houses, and whatever. Every time I talk to an expired, all they do is go on and on and on. When I ask them, why did the home not sell? The agent didn't do this. The agent didn't do that. That could be the case. What are you going to do that's different? I like to take listings in 14 days. That's it. If I can't sell your home for the highest and best price in 14 days or less, I should be fired. I like to put my money where my mouth is. But don't forget about your personal database. If you're not talking to your personal database, somebody else is. It's up to us to reach out to our personal database. There's nothing worse than having a buyer or seller friend of yours reach out to you because they know you're in the business and say, oh, I just bought a house. I got a question for you. I'm sorry, what was the question? Does that make sense? I don't want to see it on Facebook. I don't want to see that how happy they are they bought another home. I'm happy for them, but I have no room to be pissed that they didn't contact me because it's up to me to make sure they know I exist. Life gets busy. They're not thinking about us. Don't lose sight of your personal database. Carla does a great job with marketing that little touches, little subtle touches, like a happy 4th of July with your face on it and your info. You're not asking about buying and selling real estate. You're staying in touch. Stay in touch with the personal database, likely to moves investors. But today I want to talk about FSBOs and expireds, but don't lose sight of the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree, the REO asset manager. There's pre and post foreclosures. There's attorneys, but I'm going to focus on FSBOs and expireds. Okay, here we go. This is my listing presentation that I'm sharing with everyone. I do things a little differently than most, and I'm okay with that. I'm getting a lot of listings. Took one this morning, took one yesterday, got a couple appointments tomorrow. Things are good. We're taking some listings. We're doing it all over the country, and it's awesome, all done via Zoom. So here's my listing presentation. Ready? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I get them on a Zoom call. They're doing just like what you and I are doing right now. You're watching a presentation, and it's their screen is on, my screen is on. We're having a face-to-face conversation. That's face-to-face combat, the best I've seen. I would much rather do a Zoom than drive an hour in traffic just to get there. Only to get there, spend another hour to hear about how wonderful the linoleum in the home is, or how little Johnny grew up here. That's why they need the most amount of money. I think those are all great things, but those don't really add to the bottom line for the home sale. We need to get in front of that lowest hanging fruit. So they want the highest and best price. I have never, ever heard a seller say, Robert, if you can get me the least amount of money for my home, the wife and I'd appreciate it. Never once have I heard that. I've also never heard, Robert, when charging commission, if you can charge us more than anyone else, that would be great. So they want the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. And this is what we go over, because the goal, not our goal, the seller's goal. Our goal is your goal. So many agents come in and say, this is my experience. I've done this. I've done that. Me. It's not about us. It's about their goal. Their goal is to get multiple offers in a short period of time. I know that to be fact, so I bring it out right away. Our goal is to get you multiple offers in 14 days or less. Our online offers platform is the best way to drive a tremendous amount of fully vetted, pre-approved buyers. That's who we want, because more buyers equals more offers. I'd love to have somebody argue with me on that. Our strategy is so important. Now, not everybody gets to use this strategy. Not everybody can effectively use it. This is what I do for my listings, my Zoom. This is what I do. 3 strategies for pricing. You price it high. I got news for you. You're gonna sell it. You're gonna attract less buyers. That's just the way that one works. You price it at market. Sure, you'll attract more buyers, but if you price it below market, you're getting maximum buyers, therefore getting a bidding war. Let Let me show you how that works. Levi, thanks for the water, man. That was really good. Good. They have the best water. New Venture has the best water too. So let me go ahead and pricing's key. Now, pricing is important. I personally price my properties 15% below market. No, I don't get cute and charge $1. No, I don't go cute and charge 50%. There's a study. The study's been around for years. Market properties 15% below, you're going to get 90% of the population looking at this property. 90% of the buying pool is going to come to your home. And at the end of the day, isn't that the whole goal, is to drive as much traffic to your property as possible? Say yes. Of course, it goes through Zillow. Now, I know some MLSs, I'm dealing with them right now. Some MLSs say if it's not active, you can't if you can't see it, you can't put it in active. That's doing the seller a disservice, but you know what? We get around it. Bottom line, you need to make sure you're populated properly so it goes out to the IDX feed to every single real estate website on the planet. I personally like to follow Zillow. Homes.com they stopped showing the views. Their views were a little skewed anyway. But Zillow really does a good job because they tell you the views and the saves, and that's usually indicative of the kind of traffic you're going to get to the home. And I'm finding our homes are getting 10,000 views versus the next home down the street under 1,000. You tell me what's better. Now, look at this right here. This is homes.com. This is $1 million, $1.33 million home. I had just under 10,000 views in 14 days. I only list homes for 14 days, period, start to finish. 14 days. I don't have you under contract for the price you want. I'm fired. I'm okay with it. Make sense? 14 days, almost 9,500 views. Check your listings. Do you have the kind of views that we have? Do you have the kind of traffic, the open house traffic? And I explained to the seller, this is the traffic that we drive because of our marketing efforts. That's plain and simple. You get a line like this. This one is one of our agents, Kathy Ryan. She had the cops show up at her open house because she was like, what's going on here? Is this some kind of rally? What's happening? My point is, we've had 1,224 up in Rancho Cucamonga. I've averaged between 300 and 500 groups consistently to my open house. Groups, not people, by the way, since March 2019. Yes, even during the pandemic, we still had massive traffic. They were just spread out a little bit, but we still had massive traffic. So I know we couldn't advertise and all that, but you get the point. But I'm averaging between 300 and 500 depending on the property. I have one coming up in Sacramento that just went live that the open house is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, but the phone's blowing up. The phone is blowing up, and we have so much traffic coming to this property. It's going to be fantastic. And go ahead and mute yourself if you can, everybody. That'd be great. Here's our pricing strategy. Now, remember, I told you we price it the way we do. This has been a time-tested strategy for many years. We price it 15% below. So the opening price, and this is the biggest thing for sellers to get their head around. The opening price is 1,105 in this sample that I'm using. We ended up selling this home for actually 1,330, and I'll show you the results in a minute. But the opening price is just the starting price. It's not the ending price. The ending price is to know that their goal price is 1.3 or more. Now, when I first met with this seller, their goal price was 1.25. Once I showed him the marketing strategy and how we're going to let these buyers transparently compete and everything, he changed his goal mid-presentation. He goes, wow, if he can do all that, I want to shoot my goal for 1.3. And you know what I did? Feeling confident that we could do it? Absolutely, let's make it happen. Goal price 1.3. Remember, the opening price is just the price we create to get a tremendous amount of fully vetted, pre-approved buyer traffic to the home. The seller has the right to accept, counter, reject any offer, just like in any contract. We just make sure that they know that, because when they see this is usually when we start hearing some grumblings about, oh my God, I can't price my property that low. And I already explained to them why it's important, but now they're seeing it going, wow. A lot of times I'll go back to that and show them our strategy, why we're doing it, the kind of traffic we're driving, and then we get back to this, knowing that your goal price is 1.3 or more, right? And I usually sometimes, to soften the mood and change the kind of interesting chemistries, I say, you wouldn't be upset with me if I got you more than 1.3, would you? It changes their attitude every time. It's fantastic. We let the buyers transparently compete in most cases drive a final sales price well above what the sellers can imagine. And I'm going to show you some examples with this property. Because remember, guys, when buyers compete, sellers win. And when I'm on the Zoom call with the seller, I have them read this back to me. I go, guys, don't you know, I'll use their first name and, you know, hey, John and Jane, remember this, when buyers compete, and they answer it. They fill in the blank. Sellers win. But I want to let you know, this isn't a lopsided win. This is a win-win. Buyers get to see all the offers as they come in lifetime. Only pre-approved, fully vetted buyers need apply. So we know the buyers that are coming to the properties are fully vetted, ready to rock and roll. Buyers win because it's transparent. They know that they're not going to overpay. That's huge. They know transparency on commissions. They know transparency on offers. And then sellers win because the market's going to dictate what the highest and best price that property will bring because of the transparent offers. It's a fantastic opportunity for sellers to get the highest and best price. But it's all done with pricing, sprinkled in some marketing, and here are the results. Let me show you. Here's one we just sold in San Carlos. I sold this home to these sellers back in 2016 or 17, something like that. They called me up. He was an agent that worked at my office, so he knew enough about real estate. He doesn't do it full-time anymore. He's had his license, sold a couple homes, and then now he's running some big, huge corporation. My point is, he knew enough to almost make it more difficult than it needed to be. But sellers they're not used to this kind of platform. They're not used to this kind of process. Every single seller I talk to, I've never seen this before. I've even had people say, is this even legal? This is fantastic. Letting the buyers transparently compete against each other, getting the highest and best price. Is this legal? I said, I assure you, we're a publicly traded company, fully vetted with the DRE, our local boards, and our compliance with our company. So yes, it's absolutely legal. And mark my words, will be the way to sell homes moving forward. We had 12 offers on this property. We had just over 400 groups through the doors, 9,500 views on homes.com, a little less on Zillow. I find that Zillow has less views than homes.com, but there's also some kind of thing going on with homes.com, so you really can't who knows. My point is, we drove a ton of traffic because of our pricing strategy. We drove 12 transparent offers, as you can see on the right side of that screen, fully transparent, bidding it up, full bidding war, and the seller received the highest and best price. Remember, the seller, their initial goal was 1.25. After I told him about how we're going to get him the highest and best price, he changed it to 1.3. So our pricing strategy was based on 1.3. We got the seller 1.28, $30,000 more than he wanted. But here's the thing. The agent was compensated by the buyer. We've been doing this for years. Now this is the way to go moving forward. That's one thing, the reason why I'm out there letting everybody know about this platform, about this process. Reach out to me so I can show you exactly how it works. If you're not employing something like this in your business, just reach out to me and I'll walk you through it. But look at this, current offer 1.28. That's $30,000 more than the seller wanted initially. Then he didn't have to pay for the buyer agent commissions. That's another $25,000 for a total purchase price of $1,305. And that is what he meant on the 1.3 goal, because he, like every other seller, are programmed that they're going to be paying for the buyer's agent compensation, which is incorrect. The sellers don't pay it. The buyers have always paid the compensation when they bring their offer to the table. So transparency drove this property. You can see a bidding war. And at the end of the day, we didn't stop there. You want to know what else we did? We countered all offers at the end of bidding. The end of the offers due, we countered every single of all the top five, which were pretty much all of them, because they're each bidding each other out. It was fantastic to watch. My sellers watched it at home, had wine, and they're digging it. We ended up getting 1.305. Because we did a seller counter asking for highest, best, and final with the terms and conditions that the seller's looking for, the offer came back at 1.330. An additional $25,000 for the seller. They made $30,000 more than they thought they would. They saved $25,000 in compensations because the buyer paid for their own agent, and they had an additional $25,000. I think that was a good day at the office. All done in 14 days. Now, we have tons of stories. I could share them with you all day long. 41 offers on this home, 37 offers here, 21 offers there. You're going to find the cookie cutter, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a community are going to have way more offers than a $1 million home that's really unique to the neighborhood. It's all going to vary. But this is the best way to drive more traffic to your open houses first. Second, drive more transparent offers and let the sellers be in the driver's seat, but also the buyers can eliminate buyer's remorse because they see all the offers. They know that they're only paying what they absolutely need. So I share with the sellers success stories that match theirs. They want to see that other people are doing it, not that they're a guinea pig. We've been doing this for many years, and it's working out fantastic. And like I said, mark my words, this will be the way to sell properties moving forward. So here's why the 14-day home offers platform. Why would you use us? Why would you work with me? Most sellers are interested. They hear from other agents, and they'll say, yeah, commission's anywhere between 5, 6, 7%, whatever it is. I go right in with, you're only paying 3% as the seller. We're going to allow the buyer. Should they choose to have an agent represent them, they're going to pay for their own buyer. And that is the way that one goes. It's an online offers platform, lets the buyers fully transparently compete to get the highest and best market price. And the good news for the expired community, as well as the for sale by owners, because they don't want to be on the market too long either, all done in 14 days or less. This is why I'm getting listings that maybe others are not. How many of you have talked to a for sale by owner and they said, I don't want to pay any commission to anyone. I hate agents. I've had people tell me I hate agents. They're not worth their money, all these things. I go, great, let's schedule a quick Zoom call to go over your property in more detail. He's like, this one particular guy goes, well, wait a second. I just told you I wasn't paying any commission. Why would we meet? I said, that's okay. Well, how are you going to be paid? Do you mind if the buyer pays me? Think about that. Who pays the commissions in a real estate transaction anyway? In my opinion, the buyer, because the buyer's writing the offer and everything's deducted. Commissions, closing costs, seller's net. I don't know, just saying. Here's the suggested timeline that I get homes sold in. I don't like to mess around. I don't take 6-month listings. I don't take even 30-day listings. I take 14-day from the start of the marketing to the end of when I say, here are all your offers. Would you like to take one of them? You would like to accept, counter, or reject. Once they accept an offer, it's in language is in the listing that it extends. That contract extends to match that of the escrow. If it's a 30-day escrow, the contract extends 30 days. If it's a 45-day escrow, we do a 45-day extension, and so on. We show them exactly when their home's going to be done. For example, July 17th, Wednesday, get the marketing agreement, the listing agreement. Then that Monday, I go live in the MLS and the online offers platform. I do that for 14 days. Saturday and Sunday, that's by appointment only, and that's when the mega open house is. That's where all the traffic comes to at the same time. No showings. Most of the time, what happens is there's no showings until the open house weekend. We want to line around the block. We want everybody to have that, oh my God, I'm so excited, I can't wait. We give them 3 days once they've provided proof of funds and pre-approval, and we give them till Wednesday at 7 o'clock, in this case, July 31st. All offers are due as many times as it takes. I encourage agents, you come in low, and if you get outbid, come in and put another offer in until you've either reached the buyer's max or you've reached the end. I have had bidding wars go on for 20, 30 minutes after because it automatically extends. Bottom line, highest and best price, shortest amount of time, least amount of liability, hassle, and expense. That is what we're accomplishing here. And then we'll close. I usually close 21 days or less because there's no need to stick around for 30 days if you don't need to. Too many things could come up. Rates go up, locks get blown. We don't want to have any issues. We just close it in 21 days or less. Sellers are happy. And if they need a rent back for 9 days, that's the 30-day window. So that's working perfectly for us. But at the end of the day, we've answered the seller's questions. Do you want the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of liability and hassle expense? There's nothing better. There's no option that's better than what I'm showing you here. And a lot of times I'll go back, let me show you something. I'll go back, and you want to know what my close is? I'll share this with you. Is Saturday the 27th and Sunday the 28th. Do those dates work best for you for the open house? Yes, they do. Great. Let's go ahead and get started. You ready to go? Let's do this. And typically, the questions that come, I answer them on the spot, because the question comes up right when they see something. That's when they'll have a question. So I answer that question, and then I move on. Typically, what I'll do is I'll ask them, do you have any other questions? You don't? Fantastic. Let's get started. I'll send you the contract via DocuSign for signatures. Typically, what I like to do is I like to send an email first with the attachments that support what I'm talking about, as well as the listing agreement, so they can see it, review it first. Because what happens if once you send a DocuSign and you move all those little initials and you're doing all that process, it's kind of tedious. I'd rather have the seller review everything, create a few more questions, because I'll certainly have them, and then make the corrections. Are there any other questions? No. Now we'll send the DocuSign. We get it signed usually by the end of the day or first thing in the morning, depending on when the Zoom appointment is. Now, most of my Zoom appointments are in the late afternoons when people are home from work. Sometimes on the weekends. I have no problem. I don't care when they want to meet. But I typically do these appointments in the weekend, on the later in the afternoons or the weekends. So this is what we do. This is what I'm doing. And that's how we're having so much fun working with all these sellers. Because I guess the question that I have, and I do these classes because I want to introduce what it is I'm doing. I'm looking for agents all over the country. I'm looking for agents to, for instance, I just took a listing in Sacramento. I'm in San Diego. It's a long drive to go do an open house or go do a showing. So I need partners. I need real estate partners all over the country that want to take more listings. You need to ask yourself, could you take 5, 10, maybe 20 more listings than on top of what you're already doing? What would that look like to your business? If you could take 5 more listings, what would that look like? Take your average sales price times 3%. That's what I make. That's what I personally charge every single time. There's a few times I haven't, but there's extenuating circumstances. But for the most part, 3%, sometimes more. Average sales price times 3% times 5. What does that look like? What's your average sales price? 750,000 or a million, 750? What is it? What's your average sales price? Times 3%, that's the compensation, times 5 more listings. You could do 5 more listings. That's like less than a half a month. What if you did 10? It's almost 1 more a month, 2 more a month, right? What if you did 20? 20 listings? Are you kidding me? Is that possible? Absolutely. All done via Zoom. I have agents call me all the time that I coach, train, and mentor. I just took another listing, just took another listing on Zoom, just took another Zoom listing, because it's more efficient. Doesn't mean you can't go meet the seller, but let's get all the introductions out of the way. Get it done on Zoom, get the contract signed, and then we can go see the home and give them suggestions on how they want to get it dialed in. That's what I'm doing, and that's why I'm sharing this. I'm looking for agents all over the country, maybe people on this call, maybe people listen to this on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this. But if you want to take more listings, let's have a conversation. I think at the end of the day, just about every agent I talk to, with the exception of there's some people out there that just love working with buyers, and I think the buyer market's going to change if you're not starting to run this business like a business. Listing agents have done it for years. Buyer agents have just winged it for the most part. You're going to start doing listing presentations and buyer presentations. So they're going to be one and the same. So I would rather take the listings and the buyers come to me. I would rather take the listings and the investors and the other sellers come to me. I'd rather take the listings so the agents that are showing buyers come to me, and I can grow my team and I can share this and give agents balance, because there's the hybrid agent that does buyer and seller. There's the listing agent like me that I only work with sellers. I don't work with buyers. When buyers come to my properties, hey, Robert, you're the listing agent. Can you represent us, thinking they're going to get a deal? I cannot. I don't represent buyers. Now, I have the ability to, but I just choose in my personal business not to. I want my buyer agents getting the business. One of my buyer agents just recently, on that listing I just showed you on Hillendale, she worked the open house. I think she was there on a Sunday. She picked up a buyer that couldn't quite stay in the bidding, wanted the home, but just it went above their price. So I get that. So you turn them to something else, which this agent did, but they had a home to sell too. So they did a transaction for, and I'm going off the top of my head, like 1.2 listing and a 1.4 buy. I mean, that's an awesome opportunity. She was at an open house with me this last weekend, picked up a couple buyers that need to sell. I mean, same thing. I need more agents to do that. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one, you can simply just use this QR code, reach out to me. I'd love to sit down with you and kind of tell you what we're doing. You can jump on these calls. We do them every Wednesday, 1 o'clock Pacific time. And I'll share the link with you. And I tell you what, it is so much fun. We're having a great time. And so it's every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we do the More Listings Mastermind. We talk about listings. Today, I decided I want to show you my listing presentation because I think it's important. And there's the reason why I show you my presentation, because there's so much behind it and why we do what we do, why we say what we say when we say it. Your words matter. Bob Mangold told me this a long time ago. Your words matter. And they do. Your scripting when you're reaching out to sellers, your scripting matters. Your follow-up methods matter. Your efficiency and effectiveness matter. So schedule a time. I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and show you what I'm doing to help agents across the country grow their listing business. And make no bones about it, I'm looking for agents. So if you yourself are not looking to grow your business, take more listings, share this with an agent that is. If they're looking to take more listings, I don't care where in the country you are. Doesn't matter. I work with agents in Florida, Texas, Massachusetts, just closed a couple there, up and down Oregon and Washington and Nevada, New Mexico. We're all over the country. We're doing listings. I'm showing agents how to take more listings. I'm showing them how to grow their team. I'm showing how to do this so they can train, coach, and mentor others. That's what our job is. Our job as agents that have been in the business a long time is to pass it down to other agents so they can do the same. So it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. I appreciate you jumping on, and we're getting some really cool studio time, and I'm super excited. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I'll go ahead and open it up to anybody that has any questions. I've got the chat box. Lawrence King in the house. Thank you, brother. Thanks for being on. Thanks for your kind words, man. Any questions? Any questions, concerns, comments? Anything I can share with you? Anything I can...
Robert, I got a quick question for you.
Go for it, brother. What do you got, man?
I know that you don't represent the buyer's side, and in this situation when the buyer's is the agent commission is included in the purchase price, right?
Correct.
How
Yeah.
does that
So,
affect when it goes to write up the agreement?
so here's how it works. I'm gonna go back a couple slides so that and just so I can show you exactly. Okay, so give me a second. Okay, right here. So how it works, if I understand your question correctly, what I do is when I take listings, I take 3% listings, and that's because I want the seller to pay for the selling agent, the listing agent, and whatever we want to offer a buyer agent compensation through the process, baking it into the purchase price, we allow the buyer to pay for their own agent. Keep in mind, that's the same agent that his only job is to negotiate against you, the seller. So we give the buyer an opportunity to bake it into the purchase price because at the end of the day, that's what it's always been done. It just wasn't transparent. This, the agent, the listing agent off their seller closing cost pays my 3%, and then off the seller's closing statement pays the buyer's agent's 3%, not paying it to my company. It's paid right through the transaction. We've done it the whole way. So, and if the buyer agent decides to maybe kick in some of their commission just like they've had in the past, cover some of their closing cost or whatever, I don't care what you do with your 3% that the buyer's paying you. It doesn't matter. Do you? So hopefully I answered that question.
Yeah, you did. I was just trying to figure out if the seller wasn't willing to pay your 3%, you were going to get it from the buyer, like, kind of how we did in the past.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I understand that. And like a FSBO, say somebody doesn't want to pay any commission. The buyers have always paid the agent compensation. So what we do is I would just take a listing where the seller's not paying anything and the buyer's paying all 6%. Done that many times. Now it's a little bigger pill to swallow and explain, but once they understand it, The buyers have always paid the commission because they're the ones writing the final offer. The commissions are deducted. That's the seller's net. It's always been that way. So it's not hard to do. It's just a more explanation to let the buyer know you guys have always paid the commission, so we're just being transparent about it.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how that relates to this day and age right now. Buyers.
Well, you know what? It's that is something that we're certainly going to be, and Leo, our CEO, talks about. It's the messy middle. We're going to be going through the messy middle trying to figure this out, but that's what we've been doing because that's the way transactions have always been done. Sales price minus compensation equals seller's net, and that's what we're showing right here on the screen. Make sense? So I certainly can't wait to see how that goes. What other questions do you guys have? Don't be shy. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Can you go back to the screen that has the 14 days calendar on it?
I sure can. Right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
But on Wednesday, July 17th, if all of this is done on Zoom, how do you get all of that preparation work done? How do you get your sellers to do all that if you're not there to help them and talk to them?
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So usually if this starts on a Wednesday, that means this appointment was probably on a Monday. So I meet with them on a Monday. I introduce what it is we're doing. And depending on the time of day, it may be the next day when they get the contract, maybe the day after that. I give them a little time to understand how it works. This very well could have been on a Tuesday because typically I'll get my listing signed within 24 hours. If you notice, they have the 17th, and it doesn't go live until the 22nd, which is the following Monday. And I started doing that because when I would list it on a Wednesday, but no open houses were until the following weekend, people got all screwed up and they'd show up on the wrong day. So I've recently starting it on Monday. But to answer your question, the listing started, the contract's being signed on July 17th. We're going to obviously do our agent's visual inspection. I usually do that at the open house, but we're going to deep clean. I don't need to be there to tell them how to do that. Curb appeal. How does it look from the curb? I've already seen their property a lot of times because FSBOs and expireds have a full stock of photos. And so we're walking through the Zillow website for their property specifically, and we're walking through the photos and we're having that conversation. So tell me, how is your home? Is it pretty clean and ready to show on July 27th? Yes. If not, that's 10 days before the first person can see it. That's ample time to get a deep clean, curb appeal, get your photos, get your yard in order, get the smoke detectors and the CO and everything else, and address any and all repair items. Because if you got, creaky cabinets or loose railing, that all needs to be addressed. Now, I do have sellers that their homes are beat up. So that needs a little bit more time. This conversation started with my home is in turnkey condition. Fantastic. Anything that needs to be addressed can be addressed in that 10 days before anyone gets there. To answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
No problem.
Do you ever have them do their inspections ahead of time?
You know what? I always encourage the sellers to identify, maybe not a full home inspection, because that's really up to the buyer, but really identify. If they feel that there might be some excessive stuff that needs to be addressed, then I would strongly suggest we get somebody in there to identify these items and bang it all out, usually a handyman type. You don't want to reach out to your contractors. That's not really something they should be doing. But yeah, absolutely. I ask them flat out, tell me about your condition of your property. What health and safety issues do we need to be concerned with? Oh, well, I got a broken window over the sink and I got a door that doesn't open. I mean, we'll address it right on the call. And then we'll,
For the listing.
right when I'm on the listing. So when I say, first thing I do when I start with the properties, I jump on Zillow, I share my screen with the seller, and I'll say, okay, walk me through your home. I see it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Is that correct? Yes. I see it's 1,500 square feet. Is that correct? Yes. That's 2 yeses, by the way. So the address is 123 Main Street, correct? Yes. That's 3 yeses in a row. I'm on a roll now. Let's talk about your price. How'd you come up with your price? Boom. Well, this is how I came up with it. Fantastic. That's qualified to go to the next step because they're not insane. Most sellers go, my home is worth $1 million. And I hit the brakes and say, wait a second. Your home's worth $1 million, But I'm looking at the comparable sales. I'm showing 800. That's the conversation we're having. We're not moving on. But once we've identified that the sales price is in line, then we'll go on to the next step. Tell me about your property. Is it in turnkey position or condition, or do you have some things that need to be addressed? Tell me about those things that need to be addressed. Oh, wow, you need more than 2 weeks or 10 days to get this done. You're not ready for the 27th. We're going to kick it back a week because I don't want this home unless it's turnkey, ready to rock and roll. Now, if it's a fixer and they don't want to do anything, get it to the cleanest possible situation as you can, because we're going to have people come in. I saw a lot of REO properties, and a lot of them are banged up. So we get it in its best showing condition as possible. And if the sellers don't have any money to spend, then we get it in the best possible condition, Freddie Mac style. That's you rake the dirt in the yard. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
That was a long-winded question because I wanted to share a few more killer points. So thank you for bringing that up. And you know what? I think when people ask questions on webinars, I think it's so important because there's going to be others that are on the call that didn't realize that was a question that they didn't know because they don't know what they don't know. But thank you for bringing that up. And now I've learned something new, and I appreciate you for that. Who else? Who else has got questions? Well, if there's no questions, I certainly appreciate you being on today. And I hope you got to get some good nuggets from today. I mean, that's really my goal. My goal is the reason why I'm sharing what I'm doing, because I'm super proud of what I'm doing. And if you have agents that want to take more listings, have them reach out to me. If you yourself want to take more listings, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. You don't necessarily have to join my team, but if we have a better playbook and we're winning more games, don't you think you want to at least take a look at it? I don't know. That's just me. I always like to say success leaves clues, and I certainly think that this is a platform that will be the platform to everyone will be using it eventually moving forward. And I'm just grateful that I've been using it since well before it was intended. It was built for this time that we're currently in. We're going into some uncharted waters, and this is going to be the best way to take a lot of listings. And I like to call it more than your fair share of listings. So my name is Robert Weichelt with eXp. I primarily work in the San Diego market, but we're taking listings all over the country, all done via Zoom. I wish you guys all massive success. Thank you for tuning in, and you guys all have an amazing day. I appreciate you so much.